Welcome. It is 5:15 on Monday, June 8th, 2020. It is 5:15 and the Carroll City Council meeting is now in session. In support of Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds' proclamation declaring a state of public health disaster emergency in Iowa, with the current COVID-19 situation, it makes it impossible and impractical to meet in one location. Due to this, the Carroll City Hall is open, but the council chambers are still closed to the public. The meeting will be available telephonically, and we will now have our Pledge of Allegiance. Will everyone please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note everyone's in attendance. The first item this evening is the consent agenda, where we have the approval of the minutes of the May 26th meeting, approval of bills and claims, and we have no licenses and permits this evening. Are there any questions with regards to the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Seaman?
Yes.
Space? Yes. Dirks?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
The next item on the agenda is oral requests on communications from the audience for items that are not on the agenda. Are there any takers? No. At this time, we have a proclamation for the city of Carroll. It's the June 2020 National Great Outdoors Month proclamation that states, whereas spending times in the great outdoors, especially during summer, is an American tradition, and we should all take the opportunity to enjoy the beauty of our natural wonders and protect them for our future generations. And whereas kids today spend an average of 10 hours a day in front of a screen, and outdoor activity is promoted by many leading health organizations as a remedy for the adverse effects caused by our increasing inactivity. And whereas Iowa's state parks, forests, and national parks attract millions of visitors per year and reflect our state's rich natural and cultural history. And now, therefore, I, Eric P. Jensen, Mayor of the City of Carroll, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June as National Great Outdoor Month and encourage Iowans to escape the indoors and explore and enjoy Iowa's great outdoors. With that, the next item on the agenda is the Vicious Animal Appeal hearing. And I believe Mike's gone. I'll let you get started there, Brad. I'd make sure we have everybody else online.
I think I have the people who are appealing it are supposed to be a caller. I don't know who they are up there. Jeff Nichols is on the go-to meeting. He's the officer that investigated it. And
Okay.
Carrie Ehlers also was going to be calling in. I don't know which one she is listed up there. So they're supposed to be online. If not, we'll move forward without them. If they are, hopefully we'll get some information from here soon.
Okay.
First, I'll just start like I did last meeting. This actually occurred on the 26th.
Oh, Brad, I think you have to
probably
do
should
the swear everybody in.
Correct.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give today in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay, this incident was reported to us on the 26th.
This conference will now be recorded.
At 3:47 in the afternoon. And I'll give you the definitions that we look at when we deal with the vicious animal. The first is in chapter 55 of the city code, and 5501 subsection 3 is at large. It means off the premise of the owner and not under the control of a competent person, restrained within a motor vehicle or housed in a veterinary hospital or kennel. And chapter 56 deals with vicious animals. And the definition of a vicious animal is any animal which has attacked a human being or domestic animal one or more times without provocation while at large. There's 3 other subsections there, but this is the one that we looked at for this case. It was reported to us that the resident of 334 North Whitney Street had an animal, or a dog, excuse me, run on her property that belongs at 602 West 4th Street. While it was on her property, the dog attacked her dog, causing some puncture wounds on the back of the dog, which I do have some pictures I'll text out to you guys, requiring a visit to the veterinary clinic. They shaved. Get one on this side.
Can you put one on the overhead too? Should be a laser light, just.
There's nothing up here right now. So when the dog from 4th Street attacked the dog that resides on Whitney Street, it caused some puncture wounds to the back and neck area of the dog, requiring veterinary care. They did not put any stitches in it. They just shaved the hair around the puncture marks and cleaned them up, and then gave her some antibiotics to prevent any infection that could occur while it's in the healing process. Carrie Ehlers is the owner of the dog and the large citation. And on the 28th of May, also issued her the vicious animal notice. On February 27th of this year, a similar incident took place at the same residences. In the case that happened on the 27th, the dog named Panda, which was owned by Miss Brune, had left her property and went across the yard to the neighbor's house, and again got into a fight with Miss Ehlers' dog. At that time, we did not deem it vicious because it was undetermined if the dogs actually got into bit each other or had any injuries at all. One of the witnesses that was there, Brittany Wiskus, indicated that her hand has a cut on it, but she wasn't sure if it was from a dog or from scraping on the ground or whatever it could have been. We did issue a warning saying this can't happen, and also issued Miss Brune a citation at that time too for animal at large. And due to COVID, that hasn't gone to court won't go to court until July 16th at this time is when their initial appearance is, which could get pushed out. In this incident, though we did issue the vicious dog notification to her, and of course she has appealed it, which is why we're here tonight. And I have Officer Nichols is on the go-to meeting, and just have him kind of give a little synopsis of what he dealt with or saw when he arrived there, if he's able to.
We'll need to turn it.
Officer Nichols, are you there? Yep, okay.
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
We need to swear him in.
Yes.
Yes.
Officer Nichols?
Yep.
Okay, this is Laura. I'm going to swear you in, okay?
All right.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give today in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
But we can start on the incident on May 26th. We responded to, it was called in as a dog fight. When we got there, I spoke with Mrs. Ehlers, and being that I was the officer that was there on February 27th, I asked her which dog came onto her property, and she stated it was the same dog that came onto her property on the February 27th. Like that incident and this incident, there was a picture of Mrs. Brune walking away from the property with the dog. Point out that Panda did leave Mrs. Brune's property, and she had to go fetch the dog. And even on the February 27th incident, there's a video. It's not the best quality, but there's a video that was taken during the event where the dog was on Mrs. Ehlers' property, and Mrs. Brune had to once again retrieve the dog off the property. Both incidents, a citation for dog at large was issued, and that's kind of it. If anyone had any more clarifying questions in the matter.
Which incident was the vicious dog administered?
We gave him
On the May 20th,
So this was on the 28th?
the most recent one. Yeah, on the 27th of February, that incident, Mrs. Wiskus, the witness, she received an injury to her finger. I don't know if there's a picture of that. It did look like teeth marks, but you couldn't definitively say if her dog may have bit her or if Panda, Mrs. Brune's dog, nipped her. She could not say at that point which dog bit her, so at that point, no vicious dog classification was deemed at that point.
Can you tell us how far away these properties are? What's the proximity between the two?
Oh, they're very close together. It's on a kind of an L, center block for kind of elbows into 4th Street down by the railroad track. So they're both located kind of right down there on the elbow, probably a yard, maybe a full yard, someone else's yard between them, but very close to one another, where dogs are in eyesight of each other. They can see each other.
So the first incident's the at-large dog, is that when that dog supposedly, or was it attacked Mrs. Whiskas? Is that what I'm getting?
Correct. At that point, Miss Whiskas received some sort of bite from one of the dogs on her finger while she was trying to get the dogs apart, and while Mrs. Brune was on site also trying to get the dogs apart.
She's not sure which dog though.
No, at that point she was not for certain which one she got bit by.
Jerry, for some clarification on location. So the address on 4th Street is at the corner of 4th and Whitney. And then there's a right of way in there, but it's grass at this point. The street does not continue due to the tracks. Across the right of way is another property, which would be, it doesn't have an address listed. And then the property to the south of that is 334 North Whitney Street. So it's across the right of way. It's a grass right of way, and another property would be on that next to that right of way, and then directly to the south of that would be where the incident occurred.
So at least one property in between the two.
Correct.
They're not adjacent.
They're not.
And the vicious dog came from the second incident, and that's the dog picture that we have, correct?
Correct.
The-
That's the
where the
injury
dog
that
was
you-
bit.
The injury of the pictures I passed out is from the
Okay.
second incident.
Okay.
And I did, when we had Officer Nichols up there, I did see that Carrie Ehlers was on also. If we have any questions that she can answer for us too. It was
Just out of
her-
curiosity.
She was a witness to it.
Just out of curiosity, the puncture wounds seem like they're fairly far apart. Was the dog bit multiple times? Is that the assumption?
I don't know that answer, and Ms. Ehlers may be able to clarify that a little bit more, but that's what I thought when I saw the pictures also. I would have, it's not a huge dog where the mouth would have been that large to have big bite marks like that. So I would assume there's two biting at times that occurred, but I don't know that for sure.
After the first incident in February, did the owner of the dog that attacked try from at large to now vicious? And did the owner of the dog that has gone off its own property do anything to try and prevent it from being at large again?
As far as engineering techniques such as a fence, there's nothing that's been put up as a fence. When I went to the residence, I didn't see any chains on the front where it would have been hooked to a tree or the house, so I can't answer on that. And Officer Nichols, he's dealt with both incidents, and he may have more detail from the first incident to the change to the second. But from what I can tell, when I visited the house to issue my attempts to issue the notice, I didn't see any engineering techniques that would have used to keep the dog on the property.
So, okay, thank you.
So the white dog that we see with the puncture wounds, that was on its own property when it was attacked,
That's correct.
or on the owner's property.
Correct.
Was there any provocation, any determination for provocation?
Officer Nichols, I don't know if you can answer that, or Ms. Ehlers may be able to provide better on that one. She was outside when this occurred.
No, she wasn't provoked. Honey was chained up outside down by
Nope, I missed the.
You muted your mic.
Ms. Ayers, we'll swear you in, too, so you can give your testimony, but you also are muted just for your information.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Yep, just name by Laura, I'll swear you in quick.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
can I have you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give today in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Are you aware of any provocation that may have occurred with your dog?
With my dog, no. She's outside. She was real nice, real friendly. Like I said, she was laying down by the steps by my deck, sunning herself when the dog came over and just started attacking her.
Okay.
It's not the first time. Last summer, I had issues with her coming over, but she never bit until this year.
Any other questions for Brad or Officer Nichols? Is Natasha or someone representing her online? Do you know,
So
Mike?
I have two unidentified
Find callers.
So I can unmute them both or one of them at a time.
That's fine. That caller 4?
So I have unmuted caller 4 and 5. So I guess identify.
Is Natasha, are you on? This is Eric Jensen. Are you on?
Yes. This is Natasha.
Okay, Natasha, I'm going to have Laura swear you in and then we'll hear from you, please, okay?
All right.
Natasha, this is Laura. Can I have you raise your right hand?
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give today in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Natasha.
So my dog went over to the neighbor's house and bit the other dog.
Is your dog, is the vaccinations and everything up to date?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you keep your dog outside on a leash or a collar or anything like that?
We have a fence for her. The reason why she got out was she got out the front door as I was taking trash out.
Okay.
So
Did
we
you,
have a fenced in backyard.
did you see the incident of your dog attack the other dog?
No, I did not.
Okay. Any other questions for Natasha? Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brad or?
Well, I'm a little confused. Didn't she help get the dogs apart?
How I understand it, and Officer Nichols may be able to provide more, or Ms. Ayers, it sounded like she had come over possibly after the altercation had occurred and retrieved her dog.
Okay, all right.
And she may be able to clarify that more. I don't know that answer.
No, she was there and pulled her dog off mine. She was there and pulled her dog off mine. I couldn't get it off.
Okay.
Thank you.
Natasha, did you hear that? Is that about correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thanks. Got it. There's Officer Nichols is still on. Any other questions for him? Jerry?
No.
Good. All right, thank you. I guess I will look for a motion to uphold the vicious animal dog.
I'll make the
Determine.
motion.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Seaman?
Yes.
Base? Yes. Dirks?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Natasha, if you're still there, we'll have the paper signed and brought over to you by Friday at the latest. And then from there, the appeal, you can appeal again another time too, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you.
Um,
Okay. The next item on the agenda. Let's see here. I got to get that back on place. Is ordinances, and we have none. So we will skip to resolutions. And our first resolution is the HMA resurfacing with milling project. Report of bid opening and consideration of award of contract. And Randy, if you're there, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On May 19th, bids for the construction of the city's HMA resurfacing with milling project were received by the Iowa Department of Transportation. If you'll recall, that project includes West Street from 7th to 18th and Grant Road from the Middle Raccoon River north to the UP Railroad. The DOT did receive one bid from 10 Point Construction in the amount of $963,633.17. And that compares to the engineers, pardon me?
Whoa, wow, that came in pretty close. Sorry.
That came in close. It came in within $800 of the engineer's estimate, less than 0.1% difference. And based on that bid, the current project cost is $1,174,283.17. Funding for the project is listed in your memorandum, totaling $1,575,000. This project has a late start date for construction of July 20th and 60 calendar days to complete the construction. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of award of the contract for the HMA resurfacing with milling project to 10 Point Construction at their bid price of $963,633.17.
Randy, just to clarify, you said 60 calendar days, and what we're looking at says working days.
Correct. You're correct. It's 60 working days.
Thank you.
Just curiosity, who was our engineer that estimated this?
Yeah, that was JEO Consulting Group.
Will some of the roads be closed off in that area? The detours posted and stuff? Will they have to close traffic down?
There'll be traffic will not be closed. There'll be traffic maintained on the roads, of course, except for paving day. You know, obviously during asphalt paving, there's quite a disruption to the traffic. There's no plan to mark a detour. Certainly paving is a moving target. So within the day, traffic will be back on actually the newly paved roadway.
Randy, the funding that we are looking at the 1.575 million, is that the capable money that's available?
That's the money that's been identified in the current and next budget. Yes.
Okay, that's basically 400,000 more than what the project is. Are you got some funds you're not going to use on that, or I don't quite understand it?
Well, we anticipated that project might be a little more expensive than it is. We did take steps to utilize some high performance asphalt, which actually reduced the price of it from what we originally anticipated. So I would suggest that this funding, the 400,000, just be carried over in the street capital projects fund and put toward your next capital street project.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I can appreciate that idea because I think that was one of our goals. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Randy? Go
I
ahead.
got one.
Sorry.
Where are we resurfacing?
We are resurfacing on West Street from 7th to 18th and on Grant Road from the Middle Raccoon River to the UP Railroad.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Randy? If not, I'll look for a motion to award the contract for the HMA resurfacing and milling project to 10 Point Construction Company at their bid price of $963,633.17.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's any other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Cots,
Yes.
Base. Yes. Seaman.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you. Let's see, that brings us up to our next item is the Carroll Recreation Center Improvement Project. And Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As council is aware, the city has been working on a project to make improvements to the Carroll Rec Center for a number of years. The project includes a new gym space with a raised walking track, expansion and updates to the indoor swimming pool, and renovating the locker rooms along with some other improvements. The total project cost is projected to be $13,382,791 based on a 2021 construction start. However, the exact cost will not be known until final design and bid is completed on the project. To finance this project, the city is looking at using a combination of $5.9 million in general obligation capital loan notes that will be paid via property taxes and $7.61 million in general obligation local option sales tax bonds that were paid via the local option sales tax, sales and service tasks that will be backed by the geo powers of the city of Carroll. The total of these two issuances would be a not to exceed amount of $13,510,000, which is based on recommendations from Suzanne Gerlach of PFM Financials to cover any unexpected project costs and based on potential final financing costs that are yet to be known. Included with this memo or in the packet was projections of debt service levy and tax rate impact that was completed by Ms. Gerlach of PFM. They show that the city's debt service levy will remain relatively unchanged and in fact will trend downward over the projected 20-year issuance of the capital loan notes. I would also note that the estimate from Ms. Gerlach she did put together an estimate back in December, and between December's and the current one that was done last week does show that this project in interest cost alone has lowered $500,000 based on current market trends. Kristen Billingsworth Cooper of Allers and Cooney did also put together 3 resolutions based on direction from the council at your last meeting. The 3 resolutions include first, a resolution calling a special election on the issuance for the rec center not to exceed 5.9 million general obligation capital loan notes. And this resolution will set a special election for September 8th, 2020 on the following question. Shall the city of Carroll, Iowa enter into a loan agreement and issue general obligation capital loan notes in the amount not to exceed $5,900,000 for the purpose of construction, reconstruction, improvement, enlargement, extension, and equipping of a recreation center? The second resolution is a resolution regarding the special election for the local option sales tax and service tax within the city of Carroll, Iowa. This resolution will set a special election for September 8th, 2020 on the question of removing the current sunset of December 31st of 2023. Revenues from the sales tax will be used as follows. 25% will be towards property tax relief, and the remaining will be for 75% of necessary capital improvements projects as defined by the council, which will enhance the necessary city facilities, thereby enhancing the quality of life of its citizens and the economic competitiveness of the city of Carroll and any other lawful purpose of the city of Carroll, Iowa is determined by the city council. I'd also note today the Carroll County Board of Supervisors did pass a motion authorizing or supporting the calling of a vote for September 8th of 2020 that was required so we could get over the 20% threshold. Under state statute, 50%, our jurisdictions representing 50% of the population of the county need to call for election, and the city of Carroll is only 48.5%. So with them representing the unincorporated areas, that takes us nearly to 70% of the county if the council would adopt that resolution calling for that special election. The third resolution is a resolution fixing a date for a meeting on the proposed issuance not to exceed $7.61 million in general obligation local option sales tax geo-loss bonds. This will set a public hearing on the proposed issuance for June 22nd of 2020. Prior to that hearing on June 22nd, 2020, if a petition is filed by 3% of the registered voters of the city, a special election would be required on the issuance of these bonds. And at the June 22nd, 2020 meeting, the council could either abandon the proposal on the issuance of geo-loss bonds for the project, or they could set a special election on the question on September 8th of 2020 at that time. We've talked about this in brief. We had a conversation at the last council meeting, so unless there's questions, staff does recommend consideration of the three resolutions as described, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the council has this evening. Thank you.
Of the 75% of the lost funds that are left after property tax relief, what percentage do you foresee will be used for the rec center?
Approximately 60% of this is all approved. One of the things the council has talked about that they want to continue to do about $500,000 towards road improvements. So those dollars would be there. There'd be a portion for the rec center, and actually there would still be a little bit of allocation left annually based on the current local option sales tax receipts that we've received. So there'd be some room in there for the council.
Did we get this quarter's allotment yet? For the LOST?
So we receive allotments on a monthly basis.
Or monthly, okay.
We have not seen any change at this point, but that's also based at the beginning of the fiscal year. The Iowa Department of Revenue allocates out based on past receipts a monthly, or actually a quarterly allocation. So every quarter is a little different, and then they make those payments on a monthly basis. They have not made any changes. Now, the state estimating commission did meet, and overall for the fiscal year, correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, but I believe they're estimating about a 2% reduction. That's on a statewide basis. Up through the end of February, the state was actually running about 8% ahead of the fiscal year 2019. So really not a lot of change within lost is actually being seen, which is, I think, surprising to a lot of people.
So we'll always get a check every month, but maybe at the end of the year, that check may be a little less if there's not enough,
that occurs.
or maybe a little more if there was extra. Okay.
I'm kind of curious how they fund, I mean, where does that money come from that they haven't collected yet? Is that accurate?
Well, they collect stuff from retailers depending on your volume, monthly or even more frequently depending on your volume. So
Quarterly, actually.
Say that again?
It's typically quarterly, I believe, but
Well, like
they're running behind is what I understood. That, I mean,
Yeah. But like for the city of Carroll, for like our utilities, because we do enough volume, we actually have to do a sales tax payment every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on your volume, you're making payments very regularly.
I got a question on Susan's chart here for the geo bond only, not the sales tax one. I'll let everybody get to it. Okay, the first year, if you go to the brown section, the 48,620, that's not much of a payment towards this.
Correct.
And the second year is 223. Again, more, but not much. Okay, so that tells me the first year on the tax rate, regardless if this passes or not, would stay about close to $1.53.
Correct. I mean, that is.
Right. And then the second year, if you kind of just fill in lines, it might drop 20 cents.
Well, there's other dollars in there and other issuance. So, if the council would proceed with the project and if it's approved by voters, for example, in the current fiscal year of 2020, our debt service levy is $1.53,008. In fiscal year 2022, when this would come on, it would be actually $1.53 even. And then in 2023, it would go to $1.51,949. And then in fiscal year 2024, it actually go down to $1.31. And then in fiscal year 2025, it'd be 79 cents.
That's because two things are going to get paid off.
Yeah, we have
Right,
stuff
I get
getting
that.
paid off.
I get that. But where I'm getting at is the first year, passed or not passed, you're not going to see much difference from the $1.53, correct?
Very little, yeah.
The second year, just kind of figuring in my head some math here, we're probably going to be $1.30 or no, $1.45, maybe 40. Just kind of going from $1.31 when something's paid off to $1.51. So you might be at $1.30 something. It's kind of a rough guess.
It really drops down. I mean, it
But I'm
almost
saying if it doesn't
halves.
pass.
Yeah, right.
It'll drop off a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Well, no, I guess what I'm getting at, regardless, the first year, there's no change in the amount that the public pays.
There's
On the
no
GEO bond.
change.
Now, it doesn't make any difference on the loss. That is in play. But the
No.
first year on the GEO is not much of a difference.
Right, but it's a change importantly in the rate, not the amount they'll pay. For if the property values change and would escalate, then their
I get all that too.
amount paid could go up.
And she's been really conservative with the taxable value growth.
Right.
So I like that. But I think when you look back at 2019, our goal has always been to keep our levy stable.
The
And
1158.
this not only keeps it stable going back to 2019, but because we're bonding for a larger portion of the project with the lost, we're able to be servicing less debt, which I think is a wise thing too. Plus the loss, I mean, the loss money will help keep the overall levy down.
Right.
So we're achieving two things in my mind, but I'm not the financial guru. Laura can jump in, but I think it's a fiscally responsible time to try for this if, given the numbers we're looking at from Suzanne, and I trust her numbers.
So this is a little dated, but I believe it's probably pretty accurate. This would be a projection that was done by Suzanne, and it shows without any rec center issuance. So you can see in fiscal year 2022, we'd be at $1.43, and then $1.06, and then actually drops down to 56 cents in 24.
So it's somewhat close.
This is, and I have to remember, this is the tax, the debt service levy rate,
Correct.
which is a portion of, it's not the overall service levy rate.
Right.
It's just that portion that services the debt only. And if that naturally goes down, then you would expect
That really helps the overall.
overall rate to go down too.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Would someone remind us again, please, what the total amount is that we can borrow, that we can utilize?
In what sense?
Debt service levy, how much can we issue?
Well, our constitutional debt limit would be 5% of our property tax or our property values. That's our constitutional. We're way.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at other cities in Iowa of our size that are generally 50+%, 80%. They want to always be at that top level. We've always been, if we're 10%, I'd be surprised right now. I don't have that number in front of me. I apologize.
I don't need the number. What you just pointed out is what I needed to be reminded of, that we're nowhere near our limit and we're in good fiscal order.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't have to go get another bond rating like what we did before, do we?
Likely we
Would.
with this large of an issuance. We
Okay.
I'm going to be honest, I'm struggling with the timing of it. Not the local option sales tax portion of it. I fully agree. Let's go for the September vote on that with Ford no sunset. But the GO bond that's committed to the rec center, the feedback that I've been getting, obviously that's where the public has come to me, is they really want this walking track and they're willing to sacrifice, but they want to wait until the COVID-19 has settled out. They're just nervous. So wait until we can talk about it. What would be in December? We'd talk about it for a March probably vote, somewhere in there. I'm feeling the same way with the people that have talked to me, and that's probably why they've come to me, because they sensed I was that way. And that's why there's 6 of us to talk about all this. But I'm just nervous about doing something with all the uncertainty that's going on with the COVID-19 until it straightens out. It's unfortunate, we got to make this decision tonight for a September vote. It'd be nice to wait until later or so, but I just can't go forward with the GO bond for the rec center at this point because of that. And I get the numbers. I get the idea, and I've explained that to some people. The interest rates are low and the cost of construction will go up, and they get it too, but they're just not going to vote for it right now, the ones that have come to me.
Would they want to vote yes when it costs 2 to 4 million more? And we're still being reactive to something we have no control over. I think people should drive around to other counties that are adding courts and aquatic centers, and they're moving on. And look at Carroll itself with the hospital doing their building. We have DMAC that's going to do an addition, and people are, Laverne, I get it, but I think thinking long-term, when you look at when it's a 15-month construction schedule, it's not even going to be completed until the end of 2022. And so a lot can change. So if we're just thinking in the short term, I said this before, I won't say it again, we could be missing out on an opportunity to hold the costs down as much as we possibly can. If we wait, we know for sure, we have the charts, that it's going to go up. And I think it's worth a try. And as Eric said before, let the people decide. Let's give them a choice. Let them decide. But I truly believe this is the most fiscally responsible way to approach this when it's never going to cost less. And if we ask people to think long-term, that in 2023, would you like to have all these amenities? And I'll tell you, people want things to do, and we need to retain people. We need to attract people. We want to keep, and by sitting still, we're not going to be doing anything that is going to, we need to be doing these projects in order to have magnets to get people to come and to keep people here. And to me, this plan offers so much for so many different groups that I'd like to see us try the whole thing and let the people have their voice.
That was one of the issues that I had when I ran as a council person, because that's what I got told a lot was all these projects come forward and then the council pushes them off and then we don't vote on them, or they get voted on and then nothing ever happens and it's swept away and you never hear about it again. The one thing that I was told repeatedly is the people want to be able to say something. They want to be able to go out and vote. If it's not a successful vote, so what? like I said before, I think it's our responsibility to put the stuff together, give it to the people and let them decide. That's the way our Iowa State Constitution set up. The rules are set up that way. That's what it was for. It's not us small little six body deciding whether we're going to spend all this money. It's the people who are deciding it at the end of the day. And if they say no, they say no. That's where I am.
There's just a ton of uncertainty. That's the problem.
Right. And you're never going to have certainty. One of the things, I guess the other point that I was going to make too is we can go through all this. The public can say, yes, we're going to vote on it. And we have the vote. We are allowed to go spend the money. If something dramatic comes up, we still have the power to not even spend the money. We don't have to take the bonds. We don't have to do the project. If something comes up, it still can be called off till it starts. You know, that's the way I look at it.
How long do you have on that?
Typically, once you have a bond referendum, the discussion we've had previously is about 3 years to start the project.
So you got time.
Oh, yeah.
All that bond vote for that is it gives the council the permission from the people to go ahead with the project to acquire the funds. We don't have to acquire the funds. That can always be stopped by us.
You know, after the last meeting, Councilman Dirks and I spoke a little bit. And to be clear, Laverne, you're very interested in moving the rec center forward and adding on the package that we've designed, correct?
I advocated, I actually went and visited a place with the walking track. I wanted the walking track. So I went and visited a place and I advocated that right from the start. And I was told at the start that that's going to add another $1 million. And I said, I feel it'll pass better spending $1 million on the walking track than if you don't have the walking track. So, and granted, I use the rec center a lot, almost every day. And my wife's, so all this expansion is great. And we all get the financial thing. It's just, for me, I don't know how. I've been very nervous about this COVID-19.
Right.
You have to understand, I've had a death in the family. I've had a death of a friend. There's 8 people I know, family members and that, they're affected by this. And so I'm really nervous about the COVID-19. And that's where I'm at, I guess.
And that's
understandable.
Yeah.
That's my point too, Laverne. You're very pro rec center moving forward, but you feel the best chance that has is to put the GO bond referendum off into March, correct?
Correct. Well, correct. Let's say, yes, I would agree with that at this point. But let's say when we start talking about this in December, if the COVID's settled down, no problem. But if it's escalated way out of sight, then we got to talk about it again. That's me. That's why there's 6 of us to talk about all this.
See, and I'm all in support of putting it out for the vote. Putting it out there, letting the people have their say. But I still think we need to set it up for the best success that we can. I think that's our obligation. And I've been in the court the whole time that I think a March vote is better than a September vote for this.
We talked about it last week, and you and I are just about on the same page of that, because I understand what you mean, that people are using it more in March, but they're really missing it now. We're missing what we still have, and I'm thinking people will want to use it even more, and they're going to realize that. I certainly would realize it, but
my other personal position on this is I would like to see the lost vote in September and then the rec center vote in March. And reason being is if we know in March that lost is locked in, then we can bank on it. Right now, we put them both out. There's a chance they could both fail. It gives us a known factor. And as for the price going up, Mike, didn't you say earlier that the last figures that we got from Suzanne it's $500,000 less because of interest right now?
Correct.
So there is a potential it could be cheaper. We don't know that.
Right.
I don't see how interest rates could be any cheaper than this. I guess it's possible.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have guessed we would have seen them this low at this point. for this long. I mean, we don't know. We always want to assume that we have the best information, that we're making the best decision. But bottom line is, it's a guess from all of us. We don't know what the future has.
We've talked about what an advantage there is to advance projects because of lower interest rates the entire time I've been on this,
Yeah.
you know.
And we always talk about if we would have done this 2 years ago, it would have been cheaper. And we still don't get things done. But I still think we have a better chance of success on a positive vote in March.
You know, one other point that's come up is I talked with some of the people in Carroll, and I'm going to look to you for an answer here because you are a senior member. You've been on the council a long time. How long have we been working on rec center improvements?
Well, I handed out the picture of Jack holding the original master plan in 2007.
Oh my gosh.
This is
Yeah,
not a
but-
fast moving deal is my
No,
point.
But again, don't hold yourselves hostage to the, and I'm empathetic with your experience, Laverne. This is a long-term plan and the schematics can be reworked. You know, there are a lot of steps in this process. And I don't know how it hurts to give people a vote now. If we need another vote later, then we can do another one later or rethink the project. But putting forth the entire project at once at the lowest price we could ever do it, hopefully if bids come in at a reasonable, I think, as I guess I would just reinforce and concur with what Eric just said a few minutes ago.
I'm curious, the master plan that was presented in 07, how far off that master plan, how much has that
it's
changed?
changed.
Oh, How was ARNet?
Well,
We were doing 2 gyms at
and
that
so my
time.
Yeah.
point being is if we would have done that in 07, we'd still be doing these changes then because it doesn't meet the current needs.
Yeah.
So sometimes waiting isn't a bad thing either.
Well, we do have that, the questionnaire that was done along with with the architects, and the running track pool came in strong, those 2 things, and they want things for families. So
Be interested to see what the vote would be now.
I would hate for us to just stagnate and wait and be reactive. I've always thought of the town as being really proactive and wanting to set ourselves apart from other communities. And I guess we could put it to the test in September and see what happens. I don't think the 6 of us have anything to lose. As Eric said, let people decide.
My fear with it is the people that are supporting it asking to wait till March. And if we lose that portion of the vote when we know this is going to be a slim vote anyway, how bad is that number going to be in September? We don't know. But if it came in at 40%, is that worth shooting it out in March again? If it came in at 50%, probably. If it came in at 30%, how long would we table it for then?
I think it's worth the risk. I don't do things out of fear.
We can vote on it. I know what my vote's going to be.
Yeah.
So.
What if the lost passes and the GO fails? What,
Touchdown, we move forward.
right?
And really the lost situation stands on its own, in my opinion.
It does though. I mean,
Yeah.
legally,
Yeah,
this is
it
all
does.
a separate.
They're all 3 separate, or all 2 are separate. So.
Well, then we'll go to something new. Yeah.
Where is Jack still there? I saw him.
I believe he is.
Is there, where was the Parks and Recs board? Did they have an opinion on the matter?
We reviewed the plan, I like the plan, and typically, everyone can hear me, can't they? Does everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then their feeling was they liked the plan and the council would make the decision on when they felt it was best for it to come forward.
So the Parks and Recs is ready to go move forward? Is that the way I understood it?
They liked the project, but they did not necessarily say they wanted a September vote, March vote. We did not get into that at the board meeting.
Okay.
Who's
A
on
lot of
the
times
board?
they,
One of us is on the board, are we not? Someone attend those meetings? Misty?
Misty,
You were not able to attend?
or Misty
Okay.
on that board.
Misty, do you have a feeling or anything talking with the rest of the board? Can you bring anything forward?
I don't have a feeling from the board. No, I actually asked last time what their feelings were and if any of them had reached out to any town constituents, to see if anybody else was talking, what the chatter was amongst town, and I don't think Jack had any feedback from them. So
Thank
I was
you.
not at that meeting that night.
Thanks, Jack.
Any other questions? Any other comments? If not, I guess what I would look for initially is I'll look for a motion to approve a resolution calling for a special election on the issuance for the rec center not to exceed $5.9 million general obligation capital loan notes for a September 8th, 2020 vote.
So moved.
There's a motion.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Make sure I got these right here. If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Seaman,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Kotz,
No.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Dirks,
No.
Base.
Yes.
As 4-2, motion approved.
With that, I will look for a motion then to set a resolution for a special election on the imposition of a local option sales and service tax within the city of Carroll, Iowa. And that will need to be also on September 8th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
If there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote, please.
Kotz,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirks,
No. Oh, sorry. Yes on that one. Sorry.
That's okay, you can,
All right.
whatever you want.
Okay.
Yes.
We got a yes from Dirks. Haley,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Fleshner.
Yes.
6-0, motion approved.
Okay. Then finally, I need a motion for a resolution fixing the date for a meeting on the proposition to issue not to exceed $7,610,000 general obligation local option sales tax bonds for the meeting on June 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Base,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Kotz,
No.
Dirks,
No.
Haley.
Yes.
4-2, motion is approved.
Okay. Thank you. Finally, we will move to reports. Oh, it's Randy. Our first report this evening is the Middle Raccoon River Streambed Stabilization Change Order Number 1. And Randy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A proposed change order number 1 to the Middle Raccoon River Streambed Stabilization Project has been prepared to delete a contract item, wattle removal, from the contract. Wattles are part of the erosion control measures that were required to be installed with the contract. And wattles can be removed once the disturbed soil has reached a final stabilization. A deletion of this contract item will permit the closure of the contract without waiting until final stabilization. And we would anticipate that our city maintenance personnel would remove those wattles at the appropriate time. The impact on the contract is a reduction of $750 to a new contract price of $319,366. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of the change order number 1, approval of the change order number 1 to the stream bed stabilization project in the amount of $750 deduction.
Any questions for Randy? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve change order number 1 to the Middle Raccoon River Stream Bed Stabilization Project in the amount of $750.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Cots,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Middle Raccoon River Stream Bed Stabilization and Certificate of Completion. And Randy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The contractor, Healy Excavating, has completed the Middle Raccoon River Stream Bed Stabilization Project. His completion date was May 21. That's 10 days before the actual contract final completion date. The final price of the project was $314,251.40, and that compares to the adjusted contract price that you just approved at $319,366. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of acceptance of the certificate of completion for the stream bed stabilization project.
Any questions for Randy? I think that's pretty straightforward. If not, we'll need a motion for the acceptance of the certificate of completion for the Middle Raccoon River Stream Bed Stabilization Project, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There's no other discussion. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Haley,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Cots,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. With that, we will move to the COVID-19 discussion. And Mike, do you have an update, please?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Not a lot of updates, but we'll talk about a few things. First, City Hall and the police lobby did reopen to the public on June 1st. I think overall, things are going well in that regard. Some protocols will be put in place of barriers, at least here at City Hall, additional cleaning that we're conducting just to protect our staff and public. Here at City Hall specifically, we're trying to restrict still who comes back into the staff area to protect staff from that perspective. But overall, things are going pretty well. We still remind the public that a lot of the services we found can be provided remotely. So simply call City Hall at 792-1000. We're happy to help and assist the public any way we can from that perspective. The library did reopen, and I think Rachel's online and was going to give a few updates on the reopening of the library, so I'll let her take that.
I got my library card. They're pretty nice. I even checked out 2 books. Don't know if I'm much smarter than that, but thanks, Rachel. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So today was our 3rd day being open to the public. We opened last Wednesday, like Mike had said. Overall, the staff and I feel that everything has been going very well with patrons, operationally wise, and patrons have been very understanding of our guidelines and our limited hours. Right now, we are currently open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 3. We're also still doing curbside for our patrons right now that don't feel comfortable coming in on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 6. I think patrons have also appreciated that as well. As the staff have also been giving me feedback on a few changes that we are going to talk about with the Board of Trustees on some changes to the guidelines as we proceed into our summer reading right now. We also encourage anyone to come in and see it during this time, and patrons are very just excited to be in the building and see it. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Rachel, are you guys still using the 3D printer to make masks or whatever?
We have filled that demand with the Carroll County Emergency Management. So at this time, they're not needing anything else, but we will be happy to assist them with anything else with 3D printing at this time. But they've actually received some donations, so they aren't needing anything else from us at this time. But we would be happy to do that.
I was going to ask you, Rachel, about ebooks and checking out an
Yeah.
ebook. How does that work? I've not done it. I'm just.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have a variety of different ebooks through a platform called Bridges, which is through the whole state of Iowa. It's a consortium. And so to access those ebooks, our patrons have to be a Carroll County resident or be within city limits or part of one of our town contracting cities to access the ebooks. If they aren't, we ask that they go to their local library to get set up with a card. So you can access the ebooks through a computer. You can access it on your tablet phone, those sorts of things. There's an app you can download. You just log in with your library card and it'll ask for a PIN, which is your last name. And then you have access to ebooks and audiobooks through that Bridges platform. We also have another platform, RB Digital, which is just for e-magazines and audiobooks as well. So that's accessible through an app and online as well. So if anybody has any questions about that, they can just give us a call at the library and we can walk them through on how to set that up.
That app is your app, or is it one from is it something the library offers?
Yep. So if you go to any app store, the platform that they use to access it is called Overdrive. And so there's two apps that they provide. They provide an Overdrive app and they provide a app called Libby. And Libby, they released Libby because it's a little more user friendly and for libraries in particular. And so I highly recommend using Libby. It's called Libby by Overdrive when you search for it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I already had it on my phone.
Yeah, if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
And it's touchless down there. You just hold up your card, they scan it, they scan your books.
On your phone?
Yeah. No, for if you actually check out a book.
Oh, I thought
You just hold it up, they scan
it.
everything. It was very professional. They do a great job down there. Very, very nice.
Good.
Nobody pulled my card up. They scanned my card and I got the receipt. I pulled the receipt out, tucked it in the little pocket of my book, and off I went. It was good. A lot better than when I was there 20 some years ago, 30 years ago. So.
We tried to eliminate touching too many items. And it's also good training once we have got self-check machines now, but we haven't rolled them out with that being a high touch surface for many patrons. So we'll roll that out eventually once we get back to a new normal, and that'll actually be good training for when we roll that out, that you'll scan your own library card and scan your own books and you can do it all yourself. So
Nice. If that's it from Rachel,
Yeah,
who would you like to
so
go to
Jack
next?
is going to give an update on
Okay.
some of the summer youth programs that we're putting on and some pool changes we're looking to make too.
Go ahead, Jack, when you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. First, I was just going to touch base in the parks department. Playgrounds are open. Today we opened up the bathrooms. Cleaning and spraying of the bathrooms and the playground equipment is done on the morning route. When the guys get out there to check garbage cans and that, they're spraying the playground equipment down, and then they'll hit the bathroom with spray. For that, also in the morning route, that's usually done by 8:30 in the morning. They hit every park, every restroom. Also, shelter houses are open. We are at half capacity with the shelter houses. Typically, I think Grand Park, the capacity is 130. We're telling people 65, whatever that half number is. So on the shelter house reservations, we list Grand Park. This is the capacity right now. We have an initial that they know that was the capacity that's being recommended. Golf course this week we allowed 2 carts. We had been having just one per cart, but we have two per cart now. Went back to normal tea times. Tea times used to be 10 minutes apart. Now they're 7 and 8 minutes apart. The leagues have started. They're still trying to do social distancing through the league time. When they get done with league, they're supposed to, if they want to go out and eat in restaurants, they can eat and then leave. So we were able to get the league started. Rec Center, we still continue to have 35 members in the weight room and gym. Yesterday, one of the days I was came down, we were about at capacity. We counted 29 to 30 people, and that was full. I don't know if we've ever probably had more than 30 in there at one time because it was busy. You must be 16 years old to be in the rec center without parents. Kids under that age are welcome as long as parent is participating in the same area with them. We open up locker rooms this week, and we're shutting them down between 2 and 2:30 and doing another cleaning. Andy and I have been switching those duties. And the pool is open for lap swimming, no sauna, no whirlpool at this point. Aquatic Center, we did open that on June 1. First day we had 9 participants. Today we had 16. We had one day of 23. These are all rec center members at this point that we're letting in. We're allowing 2 per lane and 6 lanes. So you get 12 in there, and then we can spread a few people out in other areas on their last lane. The actual diving well is about 3/4 of the lap lane. So we allow a few people in there to swim with that. Rec, I'm going to go back on the rec center. Numbers for May, we were at 2,459 people in. Typically, we're about 6,500 to 7,000. So we're about 1/3 of what we normally had. And I would say that's probably the kids under the age of 16 that are coming in. So I think you're seeing a lot of adults, a lot of seniors that are coming down and being smart. People wearing masks, people are social distancing, they're respecting our rules and the governor's rules. So we've been pretty happy with that. The one thing we are changing today is we're allowing the Carroll swim team back into the facilities. And one thing we've done, normally during the winter months when they're down here, they have 4 lanes and 2 for our members. What we're doing right now is we have a few requests to be open, the outdoor pool to be open for lap swimming in the evening. So we are doing that at the outdoor pool from 4 to 6:45, 3 lanes for our members and 3 lanes for swim team. And then the other 3 lanes, they come down here to the rec center. So they are splitting their teams, but they have 3 coaches. But I didn't want to give up more than 3 lanes at one time. 4 lanes for the swim team, and all of our other members right now, only 2 lanes. And we just felt, and the swim team was just very excited to be in. So, we'll try it for a couple weeks. If we feel like we need to make some adjustments and change things, we will do that with that. And then the last thing is, as all of you know, we started rec programming, started sign up last week. Baseball, softball, currently from 1st to 8th grade, we have 42 people signed up. So 18 in 1st and 2nd grade, 14 in 3rd and 4th, 7, 5th and 6th, and the 7th and 8th, which mostly 7th graders because most of the baseball players in 8th grade right now, or were in 8th grade this past year, don't play freshmen. So those 3 and the boys are probably 7th graders. Softball's even worse right now. 1st and 2nd grade, we have 6, 3rd and 4th, 5, and 5th and 6th at 4. Possibly do a co-ed teams with 1st and 2nd grade baseball, softball to get teams. We'll have to just wait and see because we do that with T-ball. T-ball, we have 20 signed up. Volleyball camp, 3rd and 4th grade, we have 9. That is full. And 5th and 6th grade, we're at 5, so we can take 4 more. Tennis, one of our clinics is full. The other 2 are low numbers right now, but we'll try to push out. I know Grant and Pam would push out some more information this week. We're giving them until the end of this week, or through the weekend, so until Sunday at midnight to get signed up for all these programs. One lesson, about 8 different levels. 5 of the levels are full, and 2 are pretty close to being full. Swim team, our swim team right now, we have 21 signed up. Last year I think we had 55, I believe, signed up. So, in a nutshell, that's Parks and Rec, and I'd answer any questions.
If you don't get much more as far as baseball and softball, are you gonna cancel those, or are you gonna try and go through as best you can?
7th grade, you know, if we get a few more numbers in 5th and 6th, we can make it 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. And if we have 2 teams, we'll kind of move forward. A couple of the small towns that, when we originally talked 3 weeks ago, we were on a conference call with all the small towns. I was the only one that said, hey, maybe we should just hold off and wait till July 5th to start. I think do things better. Most of them, you know, rely a lot on concession stands, and they were afraid they weren't going to have concession stands. And all these right now programs we're talking about, we're not looking at having concession stands. And just all of them basically had said that they weren't going to do it. I was the only one that was really open to try to do something in July. Since then, we've had 1 or 2 communities reach out to Grant to say, hey, we schedule some games and are coming with, yeah, we'd love to have you come down.
When's the last day to sign up for those, Jack?
Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
This coming Sunday at midnight.
Okay.
And we'll get the numbers, we'll meet as a team and think of whatever we can to get the kids out playing. I know there are some AAU teams that are put together that are practicing. I know there's 6th and 7th grade girls right now. And so I know there's other kids out there that probably are still looking to do the black traveling.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Jack?
No, I'm sorry, one other thing is golf. We're doing golf too, and numbers, 1st and 2nd grade, we got a good group, but 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th numbers are low. We'll keep pushing it out this week.
Mike, who else?
I don't have any others. I don't know if any of the other department heads have any updates they want to share tonight.
Any applicants yet, Brad?
We have closed, we have 7. We'll
Okay.
test this Friday.
Sounds good. Okay. I have no comments this evening other than stay healthy, everybody, and keep plugging along. And are there any comments from the council? Any comments from Mike? I will not forget you this time. If not, I will look for motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and vote, please.
Cots,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.